Today's video is my final part of my 3-part NBA duo series. Before we get into anything, go check out part 1 and 2. In part 1, I go from 30 to 21. In part 2, I go from 20 to 11. And now in part 3, we have the top 10. Before we get into this, please note that this is a list. Everyone has their opinions, and it's going to be have some controversy. I'll put a link to the first 2 in the description. And yeah, we are just going to get right into it, starting off with number 10. At number 10, we have the Philadelphia 76ers duo, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Tobias Harris. Before I say anything, my honorable mention is obviously Ben Simmons. I wanted to put him over Tobias Harris, but because Ben Simmons, he's still actually a decent NBA player. He's just been getting a lot of hate recently, with his ability to not be able to shoot and how he just hasn't been practicing as much as he should have and all that stuff. But yeah, I think Tobias Harris is still a little bit better. But yeah, so Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris, obviously you have Joel Embiid, who's an MVP candidate for sure. I think he will be next year. And Tobias Harris is low-key going to be underrated. Ben Simmons, right now, he's at his worst state in his career mentally. I'm sure all the hate's getting to him, so no promises how he's going to do next year, if he's even still on the 76ers. So I think Tobias Harris is going to make that jump, and he might even go back to scoring 20 points per game next year. And then obviously Joel Embiid. This is a pretty good duo. At number 9, I have the Boston Celtics duo of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. This is a very good duo as well, and a lot of you might be wondering why I put this duo over the 76ers duo, but it's quite simple. A duo is a duo, right? So Tobias Harris, he's still a great player, great underrated player, but I just think that Tatum and Brown is more well-rounded. Jason Tatum's going to come in next year, average near 30 points, and he is going to be a top 12 player in the league next year, if he's not already is. And Jaylen Brown, a great 3-and-D guy, who is an amazing finisher as well, and overall, just a great player. He is going to average 25 next year. And in terms of just duos, this is better than the Sixers, and it's coming in at number 9 on my list. Number 8 goes to the Utah Jazz duo, which is Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. There's nobody else I really wanted to put here. It's kind of just Mitchell and Gobert. I mean, I guess I could have put Mike Conley, but I just think Mitchell and Gobert are just two way better players. But yeah, this is actually a very good duo. It's sort of underrated. If you guys watched part 1, you saw that I said that the Cleveland Cavaliers duo, Colin Sexton and Jared Allen, is like a Walmart version of these two. And it's exactly true. You have Donovan Mitchell, an elite scorer, a great shooter, great finisher. He can get past anyone, and overall just a great, shifty player. Yeah, and you have Rudy Gobert, who is a defensive monster. He is going to get any block. Nothing is going to get past his paint. And overall, they just go so well together. And it's just something that, you can't explain. It's a reason why they were the best team in the league last year. Offense, defense, perfect combination along with the Jazz supporting cast. But we're not talking about their supporting cast. Yeah, this is a pretty good duo. I'm a huge fan of Donovan Mitchell and his game. And yeah, they come in at number 8. At number 7, I have the Denver Nuggets duo, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Now, there's nobody else I really could put. I mean, Michael Porter Jr., it looks like he's going to have a great year next year. But for now, I'm going with Jamal Murray. But I do think that the duo will be Jokic and Porter after this year, because Jamal Murray's coming off a torn ACL. Those are so unpredictable. And Michael Porter Jr. is just getting better, and if he can stay healthy, he's going to be great next year. Probably even average 20 points per game. But for now, I'm keeping with Jokic and Murray. The reason why I put this duo ahead of the Jazz duo, I honestly originally had the Jazz duo ahead, but I just changed right now last minute to the Nuggets. And it's because Jokic has the MVP. He is the best player in the league, and if you don't agree, you got to agree he's at least top 5. Mitchell and Gobert are nowhere near that. But yeah, Jokic can literally do anything except for he has a really good handle, but he's a big man. He doesn't need a good handle. Jokic, he can shoot for a center, can rebound for a center. He can do all that stuff. Defense is but it's okay. Jokic is still an amazing player. And Jamal Murray, who, it's kind of funny because Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray in that bubble year, they went at it in round 1. But yeah, overall, a very good duo. They come in at number 7. At number 6, just missing out the top 5, I have the Los Angeles Clippers duo, and it is Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Now, there's really nobody else here that I can put. It's just Kawhi and Paul George. And Kawhi is going to miss most of the season, so I don't know if he really counts as part of the duo. I don't know. I just gave it to them. But nonetheless, Kawhi Leonard, he's still part of the duo, so I'm just going to give it that. This is a great duo. Everyone was so hyped up when Kawhi left the Raptors joined the Clippers, forming a super team with Paul George. Well, let's just say that it has not worked out yet in their 2 years together. But yeah, we'll see what happens. You have Paul George, who at one point in his career was an MVP candidate. He is a great defender, great scorer. He can do it all. He's like a mini version of Kawhi. And then obviously Kawhi Leonard, he is the best two-way player in the game. I don't know if he's the best to ever do it, like two-way player to ever do it, but whatever. He's still by far the best two-way player in the game. He can go guard your best player, and then he'll go drop 30 on his defender. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard, he's an amazing player. We saw what he did carrying the Raptors to the championship, and with another superstar in Paul George, I think that this duo is amazing. Their team isn't very deep, but hey, this is just on duos like I've said many times before. So based off duos, this is number 6. Because Kawhi Leonard, he's like, I don't know, underrated isn't the word. Everyone knows he's so good, but I just don't think he's getting the recognition he deserves. And same with Paul George. Pandemic P has been, well, it's kind of been subsiding now, but before it was all over the internet. So I would say this duo's low-key underrated, but nonetheless, it's still number 6, and hopefully Kawhi gets to play next year. And now we're entering our top 5, and this top 5 is filled with elite player after elite player. These next 10 players are amazing, and the fact that they're all together on one team is kind of crazy. But at number 5, we have the Phoenix Suns duo of Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Now, I could have put this duo higher, but I think the sole reason is everyone else is like better than them. So there's nobody else I could really put. I mean, maybe like Aiden or Mikal Bridges, but no, not even close. Chris Paul, amazing player. I've said this many times on my channel. Super underrated, gets slept on. He still has it. And I said that way before they made the finals. I made it before the playoffs were even starting. I made an actual video on that. But yeah, still a great player, great playmaker. And I think everyone knows now that he's going to do good next year. Along with Devin Booker, an amazing scorer. This guy can do it all on the offensive end. Defense is but hey, that's okay. This is a very good duo. And yeah, the only reason is that the other duos are way better. Chris Paul carried this team to the finals. That's something, considering just 2 years ago, we were talking about how hopeless the Suns were. So Chris Paul really made an impact on this Suns team, along with Devin Booker, who's just improving. This is definitely a top 5 duo heading into next year. This is also one of my favorite duos. Chris Paul, everyone likes Chris Paul, honestly, and we're all rooting for him to get a ring. Sadly, this was his best chance to get it, and I don't think it's going to happen. And Devin Booker, one of the best young players in the game, and honestly, I really like him as a player too. At number 4, we have the Milwaukee Bucks duo, and it's Giannis and Chris Middleton. Now, before you guys go say, they won the title, how can you put them so low? Well, I'm going to explain why. First of all, I could have put Drew Holiday. Now that's out of the way. Giannis and Chris Middleton. The reason why I didn't put them at 3, because Giannis is so good. He's crazy good. Rebounding, finishing, playmaking. Not playmaking, actually. Anything but shooting, really. He can do it amazingly. We've seen how much he's impacted this Bucks team. He's kind of like a rags to riches story. Just the problem is Chris Middleton. Now, Chris Middleton, don't get me wrong, he is a very good player. He deserves to be an all-star. I think he will be an all-star next year. It's just the players I have ahead of him, the 3 players, or the 6, I guess, that I have ahead of him, are way better than him. And this is, again, a duo. So, you gotta, go based off both of them. And I think Chris Middleton, though he's a great player, he isn't that star yet that's propelled them to the number 3 or maybe even 2 spot. But nonetheless, Giannis, amazing player, and yeah, it's a pretty good duo. At number 3, I have the Golden State Warriors with the duo of Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. Now, this is the biggest what if heading into next year. If they were both healthy, they both played the last 2 years, then they might even be top 2 duo. But with Klay Thompson coming back from a 2-year injury, we see NBA players, and I think I mentioned this a few times too on my channel, we've seen NBA players have torn ACL for 1 year, such as Derrick Rose, and they've never been the same since. So now Klay Thompson coming off a 2-year torn ACL, he is going to be a huge what if. So now with this, the Milwaukee Bucks and Golden State Warriors duo can be interchangeable. But for now, I'm going to go with this duo. First off, you have Klay Thompson, the best catch and shooter to ever do it. He's actually like the rest of his game is very underrated. I haven't really seen him play make much, but finishing wise and even defense wise, he's a pretty good defender, honestly. And yeah, he's a really good player still. Even if he comes back at 40, 30, 50%, that's fine. The Warriors still get Klay Thompson. He'll still be a great player for them. All he has to do is just get open on the wings or get open in the corners. He doesn't have to hold the ball because that's what the next member of this duo does. Stephen Curry. You thought I forgot about him. No. Stephen Curry is the best player. He was the best player in the league this year. Flat out. I think so. He was the best player in the league. You know, his shooting is unmatched by anyone. No one even comes close. It's Steph, everyone else. Yeah. Nobody even comes close to Steph Curry. Great player. We saw what he did on the Warriors. He almost carried them to the playoffs with a trash team around him. And if I want to right now, I can make a whole video on how good Steph Curry is. But I'm going to spare you guys the details. He's a good player. Now they're coming back healthy, and I'm really excited to see how they will do. So Steph and Klay is a number 3 duo. And we all saw this coming. We know who the next two are going to be. And number 2, this is a very controversial pick, and I know some people might not like this. They've been playing longer than the next duo, and I think they just have a better chemistry, but I have to put them here. I'm sorry. I'm going with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy for his life, okay? Like, it's getting to the point now where you kind of feel bad for him, like he's too young to have his career wasted. But whatever. And he is still a great player, though, when he's healthy. The question is kind of like Klay Thompson. Will he be healthy? We don't know. But yeah, he's a great player, great finisher, one of the best defenders in the league in terms of, getting blocks and stuff. And a great player on the offensive end, too. Works very well with LeBron. LeBron, he had a bad year. I think you guys know who the next duo is, Kevin Durant and James Harden, so now that's the way. The reason why I have the Nets duo ahead, I'll save that for later. But yeah, LeBron James, he still has it, He's still very athletic for a 36-year-old. Like, he was more athletic in his prime, obviously. But for a 36-year-old, he's pretty athletic. He can blow by anyone, get to the rim, great playmaker, great finisher, great defender. And yeah, LeBron still has it. We'll see how he does next year. But LeBron and Davis, don't get me wrong, I might be talking bad about them, but I'm not really talking bad about them. It's more of just trying to prove why they're number 2 and not number 1. They'll still be a great duo next year, and the Lakers will still be a top team next year. Honorable mentions, this is an amazing duo. We've seen them win the title together, but I guess I would go Russell Westbrook. They have a great player in Russell Westbrook, so I have to throw him in. But yeah, this LeBron and Davis duo is another good duo, and kind of like Steph Curry, I can go and make a whole video on how good the Lakers are. Actually, I did do that. Yeah, you can go check that out if you want. But yeah, I'm not. They're a really good duo, Davis and LeBron. I don't know if they're just going to stay healthy. I don't know. I guess they're kind of both at their low points in their career. Davis, he just came off a championship 2 years ago. But he's unhealthy and he just hasn't been playing as good as he did in his New Orleans self and his Lakers self. And LeBron, he just hits regression every year. Though he's still elite, he is getting worse every year. But it's still a great duo, do not get me wrong, and they're number 2. Alright, I'm sorry guys. The reason that explanation was so long is because I'm trying to, prove my point why they're number 2, the Lakers. And I know that's going to, trigger a lot of people. But number 1 is the Brooklyn Nets duo, Kevin Durant and James Harden. So, obviously, I could have put Kyrie Irving, and the rest of the team is pretty okay, but they don't come close to Kevin Durant and James Harden. I don't know if you guys know, but I take both Kevin Durant and James Harden over LeBron coming into next year. I think they're both going to be better than him, and they're both going to be better than Anthony Davis, so it just makes sense to put them together. They haven't played much together, but when they do. They are amazing. You have James Harden, who was a great scorer on Houston. He's taken a step down with scoring, still put up 25 a game, but his assist numbers only went up. That's great. He is learning to pass more. He still does, some dribble moves. That's okay. It's James Harden. What are you going to do about it? Yeah, still a great shooter, but he passes more, which is a lot better for the Nets. And the fact that James Harden is the second best player, that's shocking. But yeah, Kevin Durant is their best player. Kevin Durant, he is probably the second best player in the league. I don't know, because when I made a video talking about the, ranking the best player from each NBA team, kind of like when I'm doing here, but this is with duos. And I put Kevin Durant number 1, and now that's still interchangeable with Steph Curry. But Kevin Durant, amazing player. He can score from anywhere on the court. He is, honestly, his playmaking's underrated. He's a pretty good defender, so he has a very long length. He can block, honestly, and finishing wise, he's Kevin Durant. He is amazing, an amazing scorer. Nobody wants to go up against him. So yeah, this Brooklyn Nets duo is elite. They are number 1 on my list. Alright, that's going to wrap up this duo series. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to check out part 1 and part 2. And if you guys are wondering why the reason why I keep, bringing up certain points about teams like the Lakers and the Nets, for instance, like these last 2 teams I was doing, they were kind of like very unorganized. It's because these lists cause a lot of controversy, especially when you're making such a bold statement as the Nets duo is better than the Lakers. Harmless statement, but that can cause a lot of controversy, so I tried my best to explain it, so I apologize if it was, very unorganized and messy video. But that's going to wrap this series up. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.